So how do we listen for the signals that our body gives us? I'm HeathMD, psychoanalyst for Freudalicious Mind. Know the tricks your mind plays on you and live authentically. I'm here live on Thursdays at noon. I'm here to talk today about your body's signals that it gives you and how it can tell you what's going on within you. There's multiple levels to what your body talks about, right? Yeah, so if you're ill, or if you're at exercising or things like that, so there's a lot of signals, uh, a lot of types of signals. But what I'd like to focus on today are ways that your body tells you how you feel. How you feel about something, sometimes good or bad. There's joy, there's disgust, there's all kinds of emotional slash physical symptoms, signals. And if you listen to, hi, Mattis, and if you listen to these signals, they're both physical and emotional. Like with joy, for instance, if you're joyful about something, there's an invigorated sense that you get. Sometimes the world seems more colorful, life seems more engaging, and so if we can listen to those kinds of things, uh, we get an awareness of what's going on under the surface. What's the unconscious kind of perception, because we've talked before about how there's kind of a fantasy under the surface. Like we go about our daily lives and we go to work and we go to the grocery store and all that stuff. But under the surface, we're perceiving something. We think of ourselves in certain ways. We see ourselves in certain ways. We see relationships in certain ways. And this kind of magical underpinning to the connection between people, or the joy that we get from experiences, is a rich fantasy that kind of underpins our experience all the time. And so we can listen for that because it can enrich life, right? And it can tell us if something is going on that we need to pay attention to also. So we'll talk about that too. But I mostly today want to talk about listening to these signals. What are they? What do they mean? And so there's a number of aspects of this, but let's start with what feels good about life. And there's a long history to our body telling us what feels good. For instance, like a 5-year-old child loves Band-Aids. If anybody knows young children, they don't think much about Band-Aids until about 3 or 4 years old, and then all of a sudden, wow, I need a Band-Aid. And sometimes if a mom kisses the boo-boo on the child, there's it heals it. It may not change the wound, and in fact, there may not actually be a physical wound, but there's something magical about the attention, about the touch, about the uh, belief on the child's part that they're being helped in this way, and there is something magical about it, and this is the way people connect, and the beauty of relationships. And so that stuff from your childhood, it lives in you now. It's that we all have this, lifetime of experience, and experiencing ourselves as a 3-year-old, and as an adolescent, and as a 30-year-old, and those are vastly different states of being, but they all live in you right now. There's the magic of the 5-year-old is available to you. It just takes a different form than thinking about what some logical problem like how to drive a car. That's an adult kind of thing. What it feels like to drive a fun car, or the concerns you might have about a car that's not working right, or when the gas gauge is down past empty and you get that kind of tightness in your stomach. Will I make it to the gas station? I didn't notice that I'm out of gas until just now. Those kinds of things are age old, and so these are the ways we listen to our body, and it gives us indications of stuff going on. And so there's a number of ways to enhance our awareness of this stuff under the surface. Getting to know your body, though, is really crucial to this. And so for instance, regular exercise or yoga, those kinds of activities that get you in touch with your body. But even there are what's called mindfulness exercises where you become aware of what it feels like to be in your body right now. I'd like for all of us to pay attention right now. Take a couple of deep breaths and listen to what it's like wherever you are. If you're sitting in a chair, what's it feel like to be against that chair in the room that you're in? And as you pay attention to that, you can sense not you're not you're not part of the chair, but you perceive the chair against you and what your body feels like sitting in the chair. And to be aware of this to some degree all the time is a very helpful thing because it's kind of like the instrument panel on an airplane. You know, usually you might not fly airplanes very often, ever. I don't. But I took some ground school back in high school, and I know something about like operating a plane. And most of us have driven a car or some piece of machinery like that. And you know that your gauges are telling you something. You can drive a car or even actually fly an airplane for long periods of time without knowing your exact altitude or wind speed, or even the tilt of the airplane. There's gauges in an airplane to tell you if you're tilted in different ways. But those really come in handy when you're flying in fog, for instance, or if you're driving a car and the terrain is different and you don't have a sense of like how fast you're going, and so the speedometer, or the other, there's a number of gauges on any one of these machines, and they all tell you something different. They usually don't come into play necessarily, but they're helpful information. Uh, I'm asking us all to pay attention to the gauges inside yourself. And some of this is emotions, some of this is where your mind wanders to. We'll talk about those things in a perhaps a later session. But for now, paying attention to your body, the sensations. Is it, aside from illness or injury, sometimes pain can be caused by emotions or for instance, the pain of loss, or the pain of all the feelings that you have when you wish you had not said something in particular. Sometimes shame, guilt, regret. Uh, Other way too, though, if you're in front of something that is awe-inspiring, mountains, or some people get this experience in church, or when you see your good friend do something spectacular, there's a sense of awe that has a physical component. You're moved by this experience. There's an experience, Moses in the Bible. For those of us from that tradition, uh, uh, Moses came upon a burning bush, which a lot of people believe is the only way that the writers of the Bible could explain the supernatural awe that Moses experienced when he saw the presence of God in on the mountain. A bush that was aflame, but not being engulfed, not being eaten away by the flames. And how do you put awe into words? It's a complicated thing, right? Eh, But you do know what it feels like. That's part of why we can't put it into words. It's age old. Maybe it's from a time before we had words. I mean, it's been with you. This is the child part of you that I'm referring to, the memory of being a child. And part of that is physical. Joy, disgust. All these emotions have a long, long history for you with a series of memories that come with the feelings. And so all of that is evoked whenever you have awe or pain or any of these, joy. So, so to listen to these as indicators of what's going on around you. It adds color to life. It kind of keeps you out of danger. If you have the hair stand up on the back of your neck because you're creeped out by something, you should listen to that. Now maybe there's not an external kind of factor that's causing you to be creeped out. Maybe you just watched a scary movie or something like that, or maybe there's some real reason to be creeped out by something in your environment. But you got to listen to it because it's an indicator. Just like if the light comes on your car that says something is the matter with your oil level, you've got to listen to it. And or you should, or to avoid trouble, right? And so I'd like for us all to pay more attention to our physical being because it tells us a lot. Our perception of the your surroundings. It tells us something about your perception of your internal environment. You know, are you excited about something? Are you disliking something? Uh, Even, by the way, so I wrote a paper about this that placebo effect, the when you take a medication or even a sugar pill and it has a therapeutic benefit beyond what it's supposed to, that you in studies, you compare an active medication with what's called a placebo, which is in studies just an inert pill that looks like the other pills. And the inert pills have an effect. Study and study again. And why is that? It may be something about the belief, the faith in medicine or in the doctor that prescribed the medication or in some aspect of these pills. But these pills have meaning to them and that you respond to in the same way I would suggest that the child of the mom whose boo-boo is kissed or gets a new Band-Aid feels better. There's something that kind of jump starts the therapeutic effect of the medication if you can allow it to. And sometimes you can get in the way of the therapeutic benefit if you don't believe in it. Like if you really don't trust the doctor or don't believe in medications, it may decrease your therapeutic benefit from the medication. Medications do what they do, but it may not work quite as well. There's studies that show that. And so it's really amazing how much this is a two-way street between your body and your mind and spirit. And so this is a really crucial interface. The philosophers talk about the mind-body connection, and in fact, is it one? Is mind and body the same, or is it separate? It's people can discuss this for days and days, but they are connected for sure. So I would like for us all to uh, find ways to connect with our bodies. Spend a few seconds, a couple of times a day, perhaps, paying attention to how you feel. Are you feeling right now? How are you feeling? Is there's do you have positive feelings, negative feelings? Is the pain of something physical overtaking it? And how do you feel about that? How do you create resilience against like illness, for instance? How do you reframe it so that you can tolerate it? Uh, and so to listen to our to listen to Matt brings up the mind body interchange. She brings up perhaps mind comes first, and perhaps mind does come first. That now Freud would argue that body came first. That the mind, the conscious mind, evolves from a need to deal with the outside world when you're being taken care of as a baby. But where does the awareness of the body come from? I agree also with Mattis that mind comes first. That I didn't exist before I had a mind. And but they're connected, and it's a two-way street. And so how do you get in touch with your body? Listen at some frequency, check in with yourself. Uh, this may actually help people with insomnia. I think people try to go to sleep by shutting the feelings out, but to accept that you feel the way you do, and to have some peace about that. might allow you to calm down so that you can get to sleep. I've got a friend. Where is her book? Julie Jaffe Nagel. Julie Jaffe Nagel. I have uh, a review of one of her books on my YouTube channel, but she's written quite a bit about music and psychoanalysis and psychotherapy, and how she has a book on stage fright. And she says that the way to deal with stage fright, anxiety about performance, is to actually engage with the anxiety, recognize that you have anxiety, reassure yourself, be with yourself as you deal with this anxiety. And I believe also she says that this helps with the anxiety. Instead of kind of living in fear of it, we engage with it and accept that, hey, I'm anxious because I care about this performance, but it's gonna be okay. Sort of invoke kind of a parent within ourselves as well as the child that's kind of scared. It's almost like a duality within ourselves. So to listen to ourselves is really a crucial thing. Uh, uh, some people use mindfulness exercises. I've brought up over and over again the app on your phone, Headspace. There's others too. A lot of psychiatrists will recommend Headspace because it's got a good it's got a great narrator and a good sort of series of exercises, but some kind of mindfulness exercise that helps you get in touch with the way you feel. What's it like to be breathing right now? What's it like to be in this chair right now? The same way with the exercise itself. But you know, if you exercise, whatever you do, I encourage us all to find an exercise, whether it's walking, running, swimming, lifting weights, tennis. There's got to be something that you for those of us who don't like exercise, if you dislike this exercise less than the others, dislike this exercise less than the others, and so hey, but often people will find an exercise that they really enjoy, and it can be an ongoing pursuit. But as you're doing that exercise, if you can listen to what it's like, if you're competing in tennis, what's the excitement and disappointments like about the competition? If you're running, what does it feel like to have your pulse at certain levels? And they say there's an optimum pulse for each person for certain kinds of exercise, and to listen to your body. What's that pulse rate like for you? To begin to listen inside so that we can get to know this instrument panel we have inside ourselves. I appreciate y'all's time. I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you checking in. This is HeathMD, psychoanalyst for excuse me, Freudalicious Mind, psychoanalyst for Freudalicious Mind. I'm here on Thursdays at noon. Please check back in. I'll see you next time.